Okay, so we have our engine mount. Yours should look similar to this. We have this ring. We've got the holder for the clip, retainer for the clip, and this ring here glued. And when you put the nozzle on and it rests against that engine ring, or that centering ring, it should just barely come through your nozzle. So if you have all of that at this point, what we want to do is we want to try to fit this into the rocket to see how far in the engine mount has to slide. Now, I think they gave some numbers on that somewhere, but again, in the Dave Thomas video, he goes, well, I didn't have that part of the instructions. I left my instructions at home or something like that. But it's really easy to do. And again, I think it's better to do it with a dry fit measurement rather than trying to measure it out with a ruler, because you can get it off by a ruler and again, you end up in trouble. So the first thing you do is take your engine mount and just kind of put it in, and it should be a relatively smooth fit. The chamfering and the CA glue is really nice because this is a very, very stiff situation. Actually, a little bit of roughness, I can feel it. Not too much of an issue, but I'm just going to put a piece of sandpaper in and just go. That's about all you need. The reason is that the CA glue will make the paper fiber stick up a little bit, and in doing so, it just makes it a little bit rough. So now let's see, yeah, now it's a very smooth fit, just slides right in. Okay, so what I want to do is to measure this distance depth by just using the nozzle, and that's a very simple thing to do. Again, I think Dave Thomas did that in his video. One thing to note that he did, but he didn't tell you about, is this particular ring, when he puts it in, he squeezes that ring, and that holds the engine mount in place. So that's what he uses to do his measurements. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take the engine mount, put it in up to this ring, and we know that this nozzle has to fit over it, so I'll just simply put that on here. Oops. Come on, man. What's happening here? Okay, there we go. So the engine nozzle should fit flush against your ring, and then the tube should come out just a tiny bit. But now we want to push this in to see how far we have to mount it. So let's just go ahead and do that. Maybe hold the engine clip here so it doesn't slide out on you. So put that in. Now you can feel in here where that ring is. It's right about here, about a ½ inch down. So squeeze that and pull the nozzle off. This now tells us how far in the engine mount has to be in order for the nozzle to be perfectly flush. So we can just go ahead and mark that. And we can check our positioning. Just take that, put it back in, and say, okay, if we push this in right to that point, and we hold that ring, or is it right about here? We hold that ring, the nozzle should slide right in. There we go. And it's an exact flush mount right at that point, right there. So everything now is a perfect fit. We have our tube coming through the end just a little bit. The nozzle is in, it's nice and flush, and we now have our marking points, which tell us exactly where this tube should be. So we'll go ahead and mark that off, and now we're going to start working on the Kevlar cord.